You're now tuning into the Who and How Club with your host, Arys Dejan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Who and How Club. It's your boy Arys Dejan checking in with you on April 3rd, 2020. You know the saying, you know the tagline. You are the Who and How Club. I am the Who and How Club, and we are the Who and How Club. We are the Who's and How's of the worlds, and without you, without me, there is no we. So thank you for checking in, tuning in, however you want to call it. We have a lot to talk about today, so this is a jam-packed show, and, I just want to send a special shout-out, like I always do, just saying thank you to everyone who tunes in and continues to support the movement and the Who and How Club. This is great. We're 22 episodes in, and I'm not going to say that I never thought I'd get here, but it just feels good to be here. It feels good to be at episode 22. It's no 102, but I'm certain and positive and excited to get to that number one day. But we're just getting things started. We're just feeling everything out and just continuing to put things out there, and just promote, positivity, promoting how to answer how to answer the questions. Who are you and how did you become who you are? The who that you are today. So this podcast is all about who you are and how you became who you are, and figuring that out and making you a part of that club, making you feel like you belong when it comes to defining yourself, at least being able to define yourself and feeling like you belong to a place, to a movement that has also defined itself, and to people who have defined themselves in unique ways, in ways they never thought that they could define themselves. This is the place where we think of ourselves and we reflect, and we try to assess ourselves in the best way possible, from our past to our present, using our past to sort of operate in our present and to, of course, prepare for our futures. So this is the show for that. Hopefully I've explained it well enough for you to understand. If not, just listen to the episodes. Listen from episode 1 to now, and you'll get a feel of what this show's about. Now, both of my pets are wide awake. I got my puppy Apollo. He's wide awake. Usually he's asleep when I do the podcast, but he's up. He's chilling. So I pray he doesn't make a lot of noise in the background as I'm recording. And, of course, you all know Goldie, my little guinea pig. She's up and at him. It's pretty much nighttime right now, so guinea pigs, they stay awake during the night and sleep during the day. So I don't know if this was the worst time to do an episode, but hey, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get through it together, and just a few updates. We're still under this this blanket. We're hiding. A lot of us are just hiding inside because of what's going on in the world today. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but, I spoke a little bit about it on episode 21 with Kalia, and we kind of touched on it and shared our thoughts and how we're sort of quarantining. But right now, it seems like it's a bit scary right now. There was a report that came out today. Let me see if I can pull it up quickly. Where was it? If I was ever scared of this whole situation, it would be from this report that came out today. I'm just praying that I could find it. Where is it? Oh my God. Bear with me, guys and girls. Man, I can't find the report. This is crazy. Okay. Here we go. Experts project that between 3,000 and 15,000 people will die in Ontario due to COVID-19. And when a report like that goes out, I mean, that can only cause fear. I don't know why these reports have to go out, like something like this. I mean, I know we got to follow strict measures, of course, and the proper protocols. But when you start putting like actual numbers out there, that's just making people more afraid. You start to ask yourself, am I one of the 3,000 or 15,000 that could possibly die from this? I think this is the first time that I had a little hint of fear, I guess, Even after this report got sent out, I went outside. I went to the bank, and, outside the bank there, they created two lines. So one line for those who need to use the ATM, and one line for business purposes and people who want to visit the teller. And it's just weird. Like I had to ask somebody today to like literally give me some space because this guy was under my ass. But I would have asked him to do that whether or not COVID existed or not. So, I think these practices that are being implemented at this moment, I think we need to take that into post-COVID. And we should have been doing that pre-COVID, giving each other space and not being all up in each other's, business and, covering our mouths when we cough with our arms, coughing into our forearms or in our, washing our hands. We should have been doing this stuff, So we'll see how this goes. But that was the report that got sent out today. And it's, seeing those numbers it's a bit of a scare. There was another report stating that this might last another 2 years in total. I don't know what the validity of that report was or level of validity, but again, we got to just keep the faith. I'm still working as regular. Like I mentioned, I'm in the social services business or field, so there is no shortage of work in my field at the moment. So that's sort of like a silver lining, but of course there's a fear attached to that because I'm working in the homeless shelter field, and there's going to be a lot of, there's a lot of stigmas around the environment that I'm in at the moment. But the organization that I work for, we have taken all the proper protocols that have pretty much made me and some fellow staff feel very safe. And, I think if there was any time to be more compassionate and helpful and supportive towards individuals, especially those in need who have always been in need, this is the time. We need to support one another. We need to keep the faith up and just, support one another and respect each other's boundaries and stuff like that. There are a bunch of girls that, want to see me, and I want to see them at the moment, but, we're taking a break from dating right now and going out and chilling. We're going to let some space between that occur and just, let people enjoy their quarantine time. I got a chance to catch up on some shows, which I'll talk about later. Everyone's online. But as long as we're not feeding into the fear, I think that's important. Let's continue to stay positive, keep space between you and other individuals. If you are still working, just go to work and go home for now. You know what I'm saying? If you have to run an errand, make sure it's an errand that, you really have to go and run and get it over with. Go out, come back in. And that's the type of energy we need to be on for now. That's as far as updates I'm going to do. I'm not a news reporter. I'm into politics and stuff like that, but this isn't the show for that. But, for those who are listening from other countries and stuff like that, I wanted to give you guys some reports on that, on what I'm experiencing over here in Toronto. So, another thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh, and obviously due to COVID, Rampage, the Who and How Club's event series, is still put on hold at the moment. I got to touch base with the venue owner. Shout out to Jamie. We're going to be talking, it's already Friday, so we'll be talking top of next week to see what's going on. But I know that it won't be happening anytime soon. All the businesses downtown and all the venues, they're abiding by the rules, even if it means that they're going to be suffering, especially the restaurants. That was another report that came out today, that a lot of restaurants downtown just aren't surviving and won't be able to survive while being closed. So we'll see how this pans out. But yeah, Rampage is still on hold, which is fine. When you guys get a chance, go on Pod News and they promoted our PodCamp link. I'm gonna promote this one last time. We went to PodCamp in February. Thankfully, shout out to PodCamp. Thanks to them, we got a chance to share, facilitate our own session for 2020 session. Thank God we got that out the way before everything kind of got to this point, and we got a chance to do that. But we made some connections that day, and thanks to PodCamp, we got to facilitate our own little session on why do we podcast, and that was sort of like the theme of it. We brought people together to have conversations and to talk about podcasting and everything like that. And thankfully, Pod News, which for us is like we get our daily updates from Pod News. We're on their mailing list and everything like that. And we always had a dream, just like PodCamp, we always had a dream to be mentioned by Pod News. There are certain things that just make what you do seem more official than, what it means or what it is to you. Obviously, this is my baby, and I'm pursuing this as, the podcast is a creation, an idea that I had in my brain that I brought to reality. And it took a lot of work. So to be recognized by the platforms that be, it means a lot to me. And it just proves that if you put in the hard work and you promote what you've created in the right way, and there's positivity attached to it, and you never stop, you don't give up on yourself, you do your best to bring your ideas to life, if you build it, they will come, and you'll be recognized for the work that you do. Don't do everything that you do just to be recognized, but just remember that you will be recognized eventually, but you got to keep that energy going. So shout out to Pod News, shout out to PodCamp. They shared the link and our little blurb that we have. But if you want to read that blurb, go on whohowclub.com under the blog section, and you'll see the blurb that we wrote on our experience at PodCamp this year. Also follow us at whohowclub on all social media platforms, and you could listen to the podcast anywhere you are able to stream a podcast. We're everywhere, and we take pride in saying that. So yeah, thanks to all of you. The show is growing, and these are the little mini updates in the beginning of the show. So main topics of today's show. We're on episode 22. It is April 3rd. I felt like, if you guys were following or are following the podcast on, or the Who and How Club on Instagram and Twitter, you would know that we put out a post that, obviously April, the top of April 1st is usually April Fool's Day, right? But we wanted to put a little twist on this month. We love this month because, number one, we love the number 4. 4, and when I say we, I mean me, Arys. The number 4 has played a significant role in my life, and maybe I'll get into that in later episodes. But of course, April being the 4th month, it's also the month of my birthday, April 26th. But I want to celebrate this month. I wanted to celebrate it in my own unique way. I don't know how I'll be celebrating my birthday this year, and by the looks of things, I think it'll be very low key. It might be with you guys. Talking to all of you guys and girls while you listen to me ramble, rant and rave. So instead of April Fools, I switched it, and I wanted to call and run with the theme for this month called April Rules. Now, aside from April ruling in my world, I also wanted to focus on rules that I live by currently. I've always lived by rules from the age of 15 to now. I've had a lot of mentors in my life, and big brothers, big sisters, let's say. People who have played key roles in my life that have taught me certain things that I've lived by, and I know I'm going to take those things to the grave. Now, my list of rules have reshaped themselves numerous times. It all depends on where I'm at in my life. Currently at age 30, I am reshaping those rules, and I am turning 31 at the end of this month. So I'm in the process of writing new rules, and I wanted to share that with all of you. Now, with me sharing my rules with all of you, and my new rules, my new list of rules that I'm choosing to live by in my life from now going forward, I also wanted to hear what kind of rules you guys lived by, what kind of life rules you lived by. Throughout my life, rules just made sense. I needed structure in times of chaos, things that I was going through where my emotions were running wild. I realized that rules, as of late, I haven't but I haven't been following the rules because where I'm at in my life, those old rules just don't make sense anymore. So I've now had to sit down, go back to the drawing board, look at my life, reassess myself, analyze how what I've been through in the past few years, emotionally, mentally, physically, even spiritually. And I've realized that I think it's time to implement a set of new rules. So I'm going to start off with that. And this will be like a month, a series for the month for the show. So we're going to do April rules every episode, and we're going to share a new rule from our end, and we might have a couple guests on the show for the month, and they're going to share their rules. I'm also going to share some rules from some of our people on Instagram, because I did pose a question asking folks what rules do they live by. So we're going to get into that as well. We could talk about the rules right now, but I did want to acknowledge one more thing before we get into that. March 31st marked the 1-year anniversary of Nipsey Hussle's death. Nipsey Hussle being an artist, a creator, a rapper, a poet, someone with a lot of wisdom, an activist, a businessman, a family man, an entrepreneur, someone who was just real, someone who meant a lot to me. It was his anniversary, his death anniversary, a couple days ago. And I knew that it wouldn't be right for me to do an episode at the top of this month without acknowledging him and what he has meant to me. I remember I was sitting literally at this desk that I'm sitting at right now talking to all of you, writing a new song. When, I took a break from writing and I checked my emails and I got some updates from these blogs and stuff that these mailing lists that I've joined. And when the news, when I saw the news report saying that, Nipsey Hussle was shot and murdered, I immediately broke down. My heart broke. And I just started crying. And I think I've been sad ever since. And a lot of things that have happened in my life have sort of reflected that sadness, I started to lose a bit of faith in just music and in my art. I haven't released any new music since then because I just felt like, if it could happen to him, it could happen to any one of us. And what we, speaking from his point of view, and people in similar situations, like a lot of those folks, a lot of us artists, we grind so hard just to make it out of our current situations. We do our best to get out of to prevent situations like that from being so, losing our lives, getting to a point where we lose our lives. We should be so far removed from that when we make it, quote unquote, make it, when we blow up. And, it was a long time coming for him, and he was just getting his just due. His feet was just getting in the water in his artistry, and he was being acknowledged for his powers, I guess, and truly taken away too soon. I took it to heart. I took it to heart because there were only 2 artists that I've ever cried for, and one being Nipsey, the other Aaliyah. Now, I was a child when Aaliyah died, and reading that story on television just broke me down as well, because her music meant so much to me. It touched me. The beats, I know so much about hip hop music and R&B, and having that 1 in a Million album when I was a kid and listening to it in my mom's car and reading the liner notes and everything like that with all the albums that I bought growing up. Music has always meant a lot to me. Music has truly saved my life. Now, Nipsey, I felt like he was like the last rapper that, especially one of the young guys who, was actually saying something and you could feel it. You could feel how genuine it was, as opposed to some other artists that are out right now that I can't even call them artists. They're just rappers. They're here 1 second and gone the next, and they aren't really saying much. I've always wanted to be one of those artists, those poets that said something, and I caught some momentum at one point, but because of life struggles and everything like that, I put a pause on my music. Not knowing how much music has really helped me in my entire life. And even listening to music helps me. It helps me express my emotions and get things out. You know what I'm saying? And I would listen to Nipsey all the time. Listening to Nipsey made me want to gangbang. It made me want to be a part of some sort of movement like a Crips or a Bloods. Not to glorify that, but I'm just saying, like, if someone could make you feel, through their music, to me that's true power. And that's something that I've always wanted to do through my platforms. And it was I couldn't write anymore. I wrote I wrote months and months after, but it just didn't feel the same. So I had to take breaks. I was in a relationship that I wasn't happy in, just everything. Numerous relationships, in fact. I had to take a break. I had to remove myself from the things that were making me unhappy and I had to get out of the sadness. But something in my heart said, I can't do anything new until this 1 year passes, Fast forward 1 year later, the world is in turmoil at the moment through this virus. And we're seeing just how short life truly is. Life is long, but life is short at the same time. So how do we operate under that, with that knowledge? We see famous people losing their lives. We see freak accidents like Kobe. Young artists just coming and going. Not in their artistry, but with life and death. Pop Smoke, XXX. Guys are just Juice WRLD. They're here 1 second and gone the next. We have to cherish this life that we live. And we have to do our best to live it in the right way. Not in a careless way. Not to say any of those folks were. But, I think sometimes we think that because someone is famous, they're immortal or invincible and nothing can touch them. But a death like Nipsey, a passing like Nipsey's death, will show you that, any one of us can get it. What's going on in the world right now, it's affecting all of us. Not just one of us, not just one group. Everyone. So we need to be cautious. We need to really think about our lives and how we want to spend the time that we have right now. Because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. We only know right now. So how are we spending right now? I read a report about, Lauren London's message to Nipsey and his passing and what she said on his 1 year anniversary. Very touching things. Very, very touching things. I could hear her voice, through her text that she put out on her page. So go read that. Look up Lauren London, who was with Nipsey. They were in a relationship and only God knows what she's feeling, right? But she lost someone that she truly loved. They celebrated Nipsey everywhere, even in some sports and athletes. They had some custom jerseys and stuff made in his honor. And how I'm gonna, add to how the marathon continues and stuff like that is I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna create new music and release new music, because right now I have a lot to say. And I think that's what Nipsey would want. He wouldn't want any one of us to give up. He never gave up, and look where he came from. Look how big he got. And he had so much more to do and so much more to teach us. Also, the documentary that he was working on for Dr. Sebi, the trailer actually just came out this week. thanks to Nick Cannon, who continued that work. So I'm excited to see that. But rest in paradise, Nipsey Hussle, true artist, someone that I believed in and was following. If you're not familiar with his music, go, look up a few of his tapes. Victory Lap, which was like his official album release, debut release, so to speak, when it comes to albums. But even his mixtapes felt like albums. So go look up Mailbox Money, look up Crenshaw, Slauson Boy 2, and yeah, just get familiar with his music, because his music, it sounds like he just made it yesterday. And look how quick a year has gone. Feels just like yesterday. And a lot can happen and change in 1 year. So let's use our time wisely. That's all I'm trying to say, y'all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest with ourselves. No one's really trying to go out to the grocery stores right now. It's bad enough they have everyone lining up. I mean, they're following precautions, so we can't blame them, right? We all got to be 6 feet away. But everyone's in a line with masks on. It's a bit scary. And it's also time consuming. You got to go out to the grocery stores, line up. You might just want to pick up a bunch of bananas or just something to cook for that one day, one meal for that evening. But you got to wait in line forever just to go into the grocery store right now. Now, of course, we can't blame everyone and all the businesses following these precautions. But there is a faster way to get your meals and your food into your fridge. So if you go to makegoodfood.ca, you'll actually be able to just get food delivered right to your door. Try Canada's #1 meal kit today. You'll get farm fresh ingredients to cook delicious recipes delivered for free to your doorstep. If you try my promo code Arys45, you'll get 45% off of your first order, and you can sign up with them today. Now, I am going to be doing a little promo for the month of April. I'll be posting it on my Instagram at onlyonearys.ca. We'll also post it on Who How Club, at Who How Club. I'm sorry, did I just say at onlyonearys.ca? Disregard that. My Instagram is simply at onlyonearys, ONLY, the number 1, ARYS. And the Who and How Club page is at Who How Club on Instagram. And it's the same on Twitter. I'm going to be promoting some links for the month of April so that people could get some free boxes delivered to their doors. Now, I've had a lot of customers already. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to everyone else who tried out their free boxes in the last couple months. But yeah, we're going to do it again for April. We're going to do another campaign and get some people signed up. Now, if you don't want to continue with good food after the free box, that is fine. But everyone who has tried my free boxes have continued. So jump on the bandwagon. It's all healthy food. I eat it. I feel like us as artists need to be promoting healthier foods as well, because we want to live long, y'all. We want to survive. We want to live long. But right now we might need another option from going out and going into the grocery stores. So sign up with makegoodfood.ca. or sign up at makegoodfood.ca for good food. And if you go on the website, you'll see all the details, or look out for my page with all the promos coming for the month of April, so you could at least try their services and get a feel of what it'll be like during your quarantine, having your food delivered straight to your door. I hope I did this promo read right. We just wing things here on this show. Anyway. I eat good food, and I wouldn't promote something that I don't use myself. So it's great. I think I've become a better chef because of it, and it's a Canada company as well. So let's promote our own, right? Anyway, let's get back to the show. Rule number 1. Of our April rules right now is, now it's sort of like a two-parter, and I hope you guys don't think that it's cheating or anything like that, but it's sort of like a two-parter. These two go hand in hand. So you could say rule number 1 and / rule number 1.5. Right now, my rule number 1 is create some rules. 1.5 would be live by those rules, follow those rules. I feel like it goes like the watch thing, the watch saying. My grandma always said a man should always have a watch on because he needs to know what time it is. A man with the watch has somewhere to go. If you don't know what time it is, then you have nowhere to go. You're just living freely, right? I look at the rules, life rules, in the same fashion. Unfortunately, we live under a structure where there are rules that have been created for us that we can't sort of break out of. We're forced to follow certain rules. But let's not focus on those rules. Let's learn to operate under those rules individually. And think about your life. Think about what works for you. I think every person's life needs some sort of structure. So rule number 1 is create some rules. 1.5 to that rule would be live by those rules. Make sure to follow those rules. Follow every rule that comes after rule number 1. So create some rules. Create some structure in your life. That's rule number 1. Create a structure for your life. It doesn't matter, we're going to get into what those other types of rules, rule number 2, 3, 4 and stuff, what that looks like. But right now, hone in on actually creating rules. Realize that you're about to create some set of rules and a structure for yourself that you're going to have to dedicate yourself to in your time and your effort. It's going to take effort. It's going to take a strong mind, a strong heart, a strong body, a strong soul, a strong spirit to follow the set of rules that you're about to create. But if the foundation is already set and you've made an agreement, an oath with yourself and rule number 1, which is to create those and follow those, you'll be all right. It's a quick reminder. See, that rule could be rule number 8, the last on the list. Follow the rules. Always follow the rules. Create some rules and follow them. No, we're going to make that rule number 1. So make an agreement with yourself that you're going to follow these rules. You're going to create some rules for yourself. And you're also going to follow those rules that you create for yourself, for your life. Let's call them life rules, let's say. And once that rule number 1, you sign off on that on your, piece of paper. I want everyone to take a piece of paper. I don't want you to write these things in your phone. No technology. Remove all of that. Get a little journal, little book, Get a pen or a pencil and make sure you always use that pencil or pen. Make sure that pen or pencil is dedicated to that one book, that little journal that you're going to keep all of your rules in. And right now, I want you to write down rule number 1. Create a set of rules and follow them. Always follow them. Word it however you like. But rule number 1 will be create a set of rules, life rules, and you're going to follow them. And sign your name underneath that rule. Because that is your oath and your agreement to that. Now, yesterday I asked the club, what are some life rules that they tend to follow? And let me go online right now to see. Let me share with you guys some rules that a couple people shared with the club and what they've been following. Okay, so questions and answers. Let's see. All right, so question of the day, which was posted yesterday. I asked the club, what's a life rule that you live or have always lived by? Let's see. Now, I believe in anonymity, so no one asked to, I'm going to keep everyone's profiles and stuff anonymous for this Ask the Club section or segment, sorry. But one person responded. They said one of the rules that they live by is always be yourself, no matter what anyone thinks, and express yourself any way you want. Now, I think that that's a great one. Those are great rules to live by. I mean, who else would you want to be other than yourself? Who else can you be other than yourself? I know that there are a lot of people who go out of their way to please other people, or they adjust who they are based on what other people think or say about them. But you don't win that way. You know how you win? You win by being yourself and assessing yourself and, detailing who you are and labeling yourself, figuring who you are. Now, you're going to have to be the person to say, you know what? I think my attitude is a little bit bad and I need to adjust myself. Don't wait for someone else to tell you that. You got to be so, not self-involved, but self-aware that, you're comfortable with who you are. You're at a point where you're comfortable with who you are, and who you are isn't at the detriment, being who you are isn't at the detriment of others. You got to be yourself. That's how you'll win. And you can't let what other people think sway you into being someone that you're not. Now, express yourself any way you want. I don't know if they're talking about, if they're referring to artistically or verbally or what, because you can't just express yourself how you want. You got to be mindful of other people's feelings, let's say. A lot of us, we hurt people and we don't even know that we're hurting them. And that's because that could be because of a lack of communication, a lack of empathy. Some people just don't care. I've been one of those people who, I've hurt people out of my own selfish reasons, and I've tried to express myself the way that I've wanted to, but not realizing that there are other people around me that I need to be aware of. And my actions definitely can have some consequences in how I express myself. Artistically, definitely. There should be no limits to expressing yourself artistically. Now, what we consider art, that's debatable. And that would have to be a conversation that we have together or with some guests on the show. But that's a great rule. And, some great rules to live by. Let's do one more. What's another rule? Someone else said, help others if you are capable of, even if people don't remember later. God does. So they said if people don't remember that you've helped them, at least God does, and that should be enough. I agree. This is a great rule to live by. So help others if you are capable of. Even if people don't remember later, God does. Damn. Now, this kind of touched me because, even nowadays, there are moments where I look for validation from other people, especially with the things that I do, especially in the field that I'm in. I want to hear good job, Arys. I want to hear, you know what, Arys, you're great at what you do. Thank you. I want to be appreciated. But now that doesn't mean that what I do is strictly to get that. I continue to just be who I am, and I continue to do a great job because I truly care about the people that I work for, work with, whoever. I am a genuinely good person. I've been told that. And I think that you can't necessarily be a good person with a good heart until someone else acknowledges that. Like, you could say this all about yourself, but if other people are saying you're an asshole and you're just bad and this and that, then, it's, that kind of contradicts what we said earlier about being yourself and all that jazz, no matter what other people think. But anyway, if we're talking about this specific rule, do things out of the kindness of your heart. Be kind. Be good. I do feel like in life you're either good or you're bad. There's no in between. And I think us good people, whoever, good people do have bad moments, but that doesn't mean that they're bad people. And whatever you're doing, the actions that you're taking in order to help people, especially when you can or where you can, don't expect a thank you. Don't expect them to acknowledge it. Just continue to be great, because God and the universe sees that good that you're doing. You're doing the deeds of God in the universe, the gods, whoever. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but doing something great actually makes you feel good. It's like this reciprocal exchange. So if you're doing something for someone, doing something good for someone, you're not telling them, 9 times out of 10, you're not really telling them that you're doing something good. So why do we expect someone else to return the thank yous and everything like that verbally if we're doing? You know what I mean? Like, you're already getting that good feeling in return that you help someone. So maybe that's the thanks that you're supposed to get in that, you know? We have to look outside of the box instead of expecting other human beings to verbally thank us or appreciate us, because at the end of the day, the universe, the spirits, everyone, they see what we're doing. So just continue doing great, helping people where you can. Be good to yourself even, and you'll be rewarded in many, many ways. Don't expect it though. Take it where you can. I do feel like sometimes you got to remind people of your abilities and how great you are. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but don't be so self-absorbed and let the ego get in the way. In just little moments, if you find that people are forgetting how good you are or the things that you've done, the great things that you've done, don't let people take advantage of that. Remind folks if you need to. That's a great rule, right? Anyway, that's the Ask the Club segment. I think I'm doing really well today with this episode. I got some energy and I'm happy. And I'm happy to be talking to all of you. As you know, this is sort of like my therapy. So I'm really great that I get a chance to talk to all of you. Yeah. So rule number 1, create some rules and follow them. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 will be on the next episode. We're going to have a special guest on the next episode, most likely. So I'll be announcing that soon. Let's talk about Watch of the Week. This is another segment that I'm bringing into the show. I want to call it Watch of the Week. So some stuff that I'm watching, especially in this quarantine time, semi-quarantine for me, you know. Okay. I want to talk about like shows, movies, anything that I'm watching or started watching or have watched in the past. I'm going to share that with you, and maybe you could, get familiar and jump into it as well. Now, on the website, whohowclub.com, under the blog section, I do like movie reviews and song reviews and stuff like that. I think this week I'm going to be doing a write-up on Ozark. I don't know if anybody else has watched this show, but I literally just finished season 1, and my God, what a show! Now, when it first came out, I tried watching the first episode, and I just never got past it. But last night, I said, you know what, let me try this. And I tried it, and oh my God, the show is amazing. As soon as this episode is over and I release this, I'm going to start season 2. But I might be doing a write-up on season 1 this week. I'm not 100% sure yet. The show is very dark. It makes me feel like I feel like I'm watching a show created by, what's my guy's name? He did Fight Club, and he does Mindhunter, and what is his name? He also did House of Cards. David Fincher, yes. I feel like I'm watching a show created by David Fincher and directed. I mean, it's very dark. There's some humor to it. Of course, Jason Bateman is there, but like I've always had sort of like a man crush on Jason Bateman. Like the way he acts, and I feel like he's just being himself in every role, but he's one of those actors that have never made you feel like you're tired of him playing a different version of himself. Like he's just naturally funny, his sarcasm and everything, but he's a great actor as well. So I'm just happy for him in this show. The show is dark, like I mentioned. Many unique themes in the show as well. So the show sticks out. It's unique. It's not just like your average, crime thriller show or whatever. There's a lot of drama, which is great. But yeah, I'm really happy that I have a new show to watch, and I'm probably going to finish it by tomorrow because, once I get into something, it's done, and then I don't have anything else to watch. I'm either going to do a write-up on this show or this new movie that's coming out, but I'll talk about that in a second. I think with Ozark, too, I found that the episodes I loved the most were actually directed by Jason Bateman. I got to look that up. I think he had done maybe 2 or 3 episodes, aside from liner notes and like CDs and albums and stuff. I also read credits for the movies, and I love to know who's involved in what and what role they play and stuff like that. I would definitely have to look that up to see how many episodes he directed in season 1. Give me a second here. Let me just check. Okay, so Jason Bateman, he did 1, 2, 3, 4. I knew he did that last episode. Okay, so he did episodes 9 and 10, which were my favorite episodes, and then he also did 1 and 2. So I think he has a unique eye already. I love to see actors, direct not only shows that they're in, but just direct in general, just to see what other talents they have, not just with the acting and performance wise, but you have to have a certain eye. And there were certain shots in certain episodes that definitely stood out in comparison to other episodes that were shot by other directors. So that kind of gave me a little tingling feeling. I just love the cinematography and everything like that. So the show's a great show. It's very deep and dark, pretty violent as well, but I don't mind that. That episode with the toenails and everything, Jesus Christ. I posted it on my Instagram, and a lot of people were saying, it's even better than Breaking Bad. I don't think I would compare the two. I mean, Breaking Bad didn't have an opportunity to be as raw as this show. It's a Netflix show, so it can cross as many boundaries as it wants. Breaking Bad was an AMC show, which, it has its limits. And it's not as raw and dirty and gritty and stuff like that. And I never got into Breaking Bad, but I just know being on that network, it's regular television, and you can't, go as raw as, even though that's the same network that has The Walking Dead and Into the Badlands and stuff like that. So I don't think they've ever said the F word on any of those shows. Shit for sure, because you can say that on TV now. Okay, one thing I haven't figured out yet on Ozark, though, is the significance of, this could just be maybe I'm overthinking it and not thinking about it enough, but the symbol that shows up in the front, in the title, in the opening title of each episode with the little images and the quadrant. I don't know the significance of those. Obviously, they're attached to the theme of the episode, but is it spelling out the title of the episode, or like what's the deal with that? If anybody knows, can you let me know? I would appreciate you sharing that with me. I don't like to find out everything. I haven't Googled the show yet or anything, aside from right now finding out how many episodes he did in season 1. And by he, I mean Jason Bateman. But that's as far as I'm going. I want to finish the entire series so far. There are 3 seasons. I'm going to finish that first, then I'm going to do all my Googles. But if someone could tell me the significance of the symbol at the front, and the quadrant with the little photos and stuff like that, little hints, I would appreciate that. Speaking of symbols, a lot of symbolism in the show. That could be me overthinking. But I'm really excited mostly to finish the series and then Google all my shit. Today is Friday, and another movie comes out on Netflix. It's Coffee and Kareem, for those who might need a little laugh in their life right now. I know I do. So that's a comedy / action movie with Ed Helms and Taraji P. Henson, and with this little kid actor that looks hilarious. The trailer kind of seemed a little corny, but I'm sure the movie itself, and I know it's very raw, I know it's going to be funny. So that'll be my watch of the week. I might do a write-up on that instead of Ozark, just because I want to finish Ozark in its entirety and then do a write-up on it, as opposed to just season 1. So I'm conflicted, but I'll figure that out. But if you're looking to laugh tonight on Friday during your quarantine, Coffee and Kareem, it should be available right now. So those are my watches of the week on the Watch of the Week segment here on the Who and How Club. Speaking of it being Friday, I noticed something, and this is going back to Nipsey. Nipsey's 1-year anniversary. He died on March 31st. And today is April 3rd. So April 3rd. Wait a minute. So yesterday was March 3rd. Not yesterday, I'm sorry. But I'm doing this episode on April 3rd. And he passed on March 31st, which is 331, which is 7. And then today, it is April 3rd. 4 and 3 is 7. And there's a significance to 7. What is the significance to 7? 7 is the number of completeness and perfection, both physical and spiritual. It derives much of its meaning from being tied directly to God's creation of all things. The number 7 is also important in Hinduism, Islam, and Judaism. Just a little observation there. I'm not going to count the year number because I don't believe in the years that we're actually in. But that's another story for another time. But if we're going based on the month and the day, today is a day of 7, and the day of his passing was a day of 7. So there's some significance there with the number, with the day that I'm recording this and the day that he passed. I don't know why that came to my mind. Yeah. Rest in peace, Nipsey. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't really have much to say. You guys heard the promo read for good food. I'm going to be promoting some good food stuff this month. I mean, if there's nothing else, I don't think that's it. Rest in peace to Nipsey. You guys have my watches of the week. We spoke about some updates on Rampage and the Who and How Club. And we spoke about rule number 1, which is create some rules and make sure you follow them. That's the oath. That's the foundation. Write that down. Sign your name under that. And then next week, we're going to touch base on rule number 2. All right? Everyone stay positive. Keep your head up. Like Pac said, I love you all. I appreciate you all. And just remember to love yourself and use your time wisely. All right? Be safe. You are the Who and How Club. I am the Who and How Club. We are the Who's and How's of the world. Without you, without me, there is no we. With that said, we're going to have a little moment of silence for Nips. And we'll talk next week. Peace.